wouldn't
I've
think.
been trying to do that today, and I can't make Anor Londo fit with another song. It's not. It doesn't rhyme with a lot of things.
Anor Londo brought a condo. Um, check out Majongo, which is ancient Egyptian for Wang.
Is that a true fact?
That's a blatant lie.
Blatant lies, and that's how we like to do this thing. Right. Hello again, everybody. My name is Patrick. Paddy, call me Paddy. My friend, introduce yourself.
I am the CJ, the coffee Jesus, a name I instantly reject and regret.
I've made some internet mistakes.
I've had a good week when it comes to internet. Actually, the internet's been a bit of a smile. Yeah, there's been a couple of cool folks that said hello on Twitter that I'd not spoken to before. Very chatty and very cool. One of them being one of the folks from Kane and Rince. And if you've not heard their rather marvelous Dark Souls critique, then you should.
Yes, I can back that up because I have now listened to it, and I agree it is a very good listen.
Yes.
So thanks, guys. You guys are cool.
Yeah. So if Darren's listening, hello, Darren.
This is episode 9.
9.
We're making progress. And this is after teasing it for about a month, we finally went to Anor Londo.
We did, or as many people have called it, anal rodeo.
Anal rodeo.
Which
another wrongo.
Yeah, which indeed rather tie in.
And I thought of a name for the podcast episode already, and I didn't put this past you already, but I don't think you'll mind. It's a good name, I think. This episode will be called The Dynamic Duos.
Really? Because I was thinking it might be called Layers for reasons that will...
That is another good title.
That will be displayed a little bit later.
So we went to Anor Londo, finally. After what feels like a million years, because every time we tried to meet up for the last 2 weeks, it's been, oh, no, next time, and I've gone and done other things instead. But we finally went to the glorious Temple of the Gods, Anor Londo.
So speak about Anor Londo in itself, because it took you, from what we'd said previously, it kind of took you aback when you got there, and I think your good lady was either rather sort of stunned.
It was that initial when you're back in Sens, you fought through the horrible, well designed but horrible nightmare that is Sens Fortress, and you crest the top, you finally topple the big metal bastard, and you hit the halo, which looks like an item. More fool me. You grab your halo and then you get taken up and you sort of travel up past this big rock wall and you just crest the wall, and you just treat it to this glorious sort of golden, shiny, pretty looking city with this sunset hanging over the end of it, and the music crests up as you hit the top and you're like, whoa, that is a nice view. And it's a really nicely put together bit. I know it's there to disguise a loading screen, but it's very good. It's a very well done disguised loading screen.
I think there's a difference in the game in itself, because the game masks loading screens particularly well.
Oh, it does a great job.
As to whether it is a loading screen or not, I'm honestly not sure, but it doesn't seem like it's there to mercilessly cover something up. It actually does the job of introducing the level.
Yeah, but it does do it every time you go back and forwards.
Yeah, but it still takes your breath away every time it does it.
Yeah.
And I think if it just did the introduction and then stopped when you went back, I'd miss it.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I mean, there's a lot of the good moments that you can replay if you bro up with someone. It'd be a shame to lose that one.
Yeah.
Like watching that gaping dragon intro over and over and over.
Yeah, I mean, I even enjoyed that. I mean, I think that's a stunning reveal. But
Oh no,
um,
I like it. I like
yeah,
watching that. That's why I go back to the depths and hang around in there because it's fun to hang around and watch that cutscene again.
but none of the I mean, none of the cutscenes in themselves seem like they're there for flash. They seem like they're there for impact, and that's a completely different thing entirely.
Hmm. They serve a
Um,
purpose.
yeah, and even I mean, I think the music is such a huge color of this game. And if you listen to the soundtrack in isolation, you realize just how brilliant it is because you know every place that the soundtrack hits, and you start to appreciate um, the musical cues and just the strong pieces that are there in themselves. But as you've got that incredible reveal as the gargoyles pull you up over the mountains and to Anor Londo, you've got the perfect synchronicity of the sun reaching across those beautiful polished beautiful polished architecture and building tops, and you've got that the music kind of doing the and it's such theatre, it's such old school cinema, and even though it isn't a piece, an actual long piece of music in itself,
Hmm.
it's wonderful
It
because
fits it perfectly. Yeah.
it's as much a part of the visual as the visual itself is.
Hmm. I mean,
Um,
the actual look of it as well. I mean, it's a very well. It's a good moment. Because I mean, it looks completely. I know we've said this before, but compared to the last, 20, 30 hours you spent slogging through nasty, dirty, horrible corridors filled with nasty, slimy things,
yeah,
it's a proper contrast when you sort of just think, oh, everything's clean.
and I think with how densely populated Sens was,
Mm.
there's this incredible feeling of where is everything?
Yeah, it's over. It's an oversized area compared to your body. It's like you're a hobbit pottering around in a real man's house because all the ceilings are too high, all the roads are too wide, all the staircases are too big. You're like, it doesn't feel like a place that a human would be.
Or if they were, it would be cast into servitude.
Yeah, yeah, but it doesn't feel like they own the place.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah,
Very
because
true.
I mean, if anything, changing the light bulbs, if anything, will be an absolute piss take.
Well, you've got near to the boss battle of Snorlax and Pikachu.
Yeah.
You've got some very small lifts there.
Mm.
So they're the sort of lifts that suggest
Service
sort of
elevator.
a servant of
Maybe.
sorts.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
And sometimes it's about sort of looking at the architecture and trying to fill in the dots, and that's even beyond
Mm.
the lore itself. You're just looking at the place and going and imagining that there's people there and imagining what might have happened. And
Yeah.
I think that this is the first place we've seen that's really got brilliant sunlight. And because everywhere else has just been below and dank and dark.
But yeah, I mean, it's brilliant and it's bright, but I don't know. I feel like you'd expect to see more people there. It's weirder because it's brilliant and it's bright, but it feels empty.
It's got the feeling of an empty chapel.
Yeah, I mean, there's things there, but they don't kind of don't have the same sort of personality that the Hollows do. I think
Yeah.
maybe that's not the right word, but they feel more like things as opposed to people.
Well, there's a feeling in Dark Souls in general that it's kind of the end of the world, and that doesn't just apply to mortals.
Hmm.
That applies to the gods as well, and that the gods themselves are falling prey.
Hmm.
Velka, I think, is it Velka? The guy that's in the Beltao Gargoyles, I think, alludes to the fact that neither man nor god is free of retribution or something along
Oswald.
those lines. Yeah, Oswald of Cream. Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, I get the feeling that the smackdown has been put on across the board, really.
Yeah.
Which makes it interesting because you don't often see that.
No, I mean what I got from it as well. I mean, it's not really. It doesn't really look war torn, which a lot of places they look a bit broken and a bit smashed up. It looks
Yeah.
like they've just literally gone fuck this and just left,
Yeah,
and
or
just gone. And just literally dropped
died.
it. Maybe something's happened in the lower world, and they've gone okay, screw that, and they've just vanished. And it's I like seeing that. It's like abandoned, but it's still so pristine as well.
All I'll say is that even from the stuff that Anor Londo's still got secrets to tell.
Oh
Even
joy!
even though you finished the level.
I know what kind of secrets Anor Londo's got.
Really?
Painful secrets.
There's still a place that you haven't been.
Okay.
Let's put it this way, and there's still
cool.
something that you could do but you haven't. And frankly, the thought of it breaks my heart. So you've already broken my heart once in Anor Londo. So,
yes, and we'll get to that soon.
We will.
So yeah, the actual playing of said level, traveling down that, and I've got to say it's a troll of an elevator. So you go to the bonfire at Anor Londo, and you're like, right, okay, I'm going to kindle this one. I'm going to get it kindled, right? And okay, there's the elevator down. So you walk over to the elevator. Every single time I went to that elevator down, it would start moving down when I was about 10 feet away. And it was like, no, come back. And I had to stand there and wait for it to go all the way down. And then after a pause, then all the way back up again. I was like, you bastard. And I would run as fast as I could, and I still couldn't make it. And if I jumped into the elevator, I'd get hurt.
Before we started bro-upping, you'd had a bit of a sort of trollop around in there a bit, haven't you?
I literally trolloped in that opening area with the bonfire. I'd not been down the elevator.
Because when we started playing, I think there was a part of me that was sort of going, Paddy's going to think this is a piece of cake. He's just going to think this is a walk in the park with friendly macaroons. But
well, the first 5 minutes are.
Well,
just walk past those big statues that wake up if you piss them off. But if you just walk past, they ignore you completely, which is wonderful.
But there was the first wonderful moment was when we climbed across the buttress to the top of the castle.
Oh,
and the top of the first chapel, the Painting Guardian Chapel.
Yeah.
And then you were like, "Where have you gone?"
Yeah,
and I was like, "I'm up here." You were like,
that was
what?
compounded from a few. I mean, the little trot across the buttresses was bad enough because I had the problem when I was walking up. You kind of go through. There's these buttresses that go across, and you walk up the little buttress. It's very thin, and it's kind of like you've got to walk slow, or you might fall. And you kind of go through kind of very sort of thin arches that kind of go over the top of the buttress. And as you go through, the camera just gets just that tiny weeny bit stuck. Just as you go through it just kind of goes whoop as you go through, and it's enough that if you were going quickly, it might throw you off.
Uh-huh.
And it's the same thing in Sen's Fortress, the little door outside that you go get Iron Targus from. You go through there, and if you're going too quick, the camera can wobble and you can fall off the side. And I've nearly done that so many times. So I'm very, very worried about every time I go through a tiny, tiny little door, is that I'm going to fall off of something when I go through, just because the camera went, lol, no. But yeah, getting up them buttresses. So we got up, a couple of them Painting Guardians jumped us when we got into that room, but we got rid of them fairly easily, didn't we?
Yeah, but then there was the thing where it's like, where are you? Where are you now? And I was like, I'm a little bit higher. And then we got to those platforms, those scaffolds right at the top of the roof, and you were like, what?
Yeah, we went up, so I looked around, you'd gone. I went, where the fuck have you gone? I went up the ladder. I went, what bloody ladder? Then it's quite a clear ladder, and I went up, and it's like that last bit times 10. So it's these tiny, weeny little platforms that it does. Let's be fair, it doesn't look like they're wide enough to walk along.
Yeah,
they look like a bit of scenery with those Painted Guardians just kind of propped along, just happily running around on them, not giving two shits.
But there was the bit when we were up there, and you were like, "Oh my god, what are they going to do?" And I was like,
having panic
"They're going to run at us, Paddy. They're going to run at us." You'd be like, "What?" And then thankfully, I managed to pick a couple of them off with poison arrows, and they didn't move.
They just stood there and trickled down. And I've got to say, that was a great tactic. I've done that myself on my own since then, and it works every time.
But I mean, poison arrows are great anyway, but they super come into their own in Anor Londo. It's it's just fantastic for keeping enemies at distance, and especially taking down the big bastards.
Yeah, I mean, because Anor Londo, let's be fair, is full of bastards.
It's full of tall bastards,
It's
and
chock
I mean,
full, of big, scary bastards.
As we speak now, I'm just running around and doing a little bit of level grindage, and those even with the what I've come to term now as the bunny stick, just simply because I love that R2 jump on the reinforced club so much.
Spiky improved club, the smack hammer.
But even if I lean away from like poison arrows or pyromancy, and I try and take them down with the club, they're double useful with that shield.
Yeah.
Even against fire, they're really useful.
Oh, interesting. So yeah, going across that little top rafters, and you're kind of trotting on ahead, because you're confident you've been there before. I'm walking very slowly with my heart in my mouth, and then.
Mind you, I was walking pretty slowly.
You were slow, but you were ahead of me.
Oh, let's not forget the moment where I took a swing at the...
Yeah, I was walking along quite happily, and then Genius Boy did tell me what you did. You walked over, and you just knocked the chandelier down. And I just heard this almighty crash, and I absolutely carked my pants.
You did some...
I thought something had jumped at us.
Super poo.
It was maybe a 7 or 8 out of 10. And being up on those rafters, it's a good job that I wasn't walking at the time, because I would have spazzed and walked off. Because I've done that before, particularly in things like Minecraft, when you're walking around in a little tunnel and you're going around a corner and a creeper's there and you go, Agah! And your mouse goes all over the place and you kind of just go, blah, blah, blah. So that was probably the worst part of the rafters is when I heard the almighty crash of you breaking that bloody chandelier.
That's what I do.
Heart in my mouth, and that kind of ruined me for the rest of that. I just walked as slowly as possible, taking every turn carefully. But we got past that, and that wasn't too big of a deal.
It's a level though that I mean, from a summoning point of view, because I was in your game at this point.
Mm-hmm.
When I've summoned somebody into the game before, it's interesting to see those folks that want to lead you through the level. That genuinely want to show you where to go and will help you along, and those that just want to peg away 100 miles an hour and don't give an arse if you follow them or not.
Yeah.
And that's why it can be quite a almost a distressing level in many ways, because it's so empty. It's atmosphere. A lot of it's atmosphere, but it puts you through a few tests that the game hasn't done previously. It puts you through a degree of loneliness.
Yeah.
And the barren, clean beauty of it all, and then occasional giant bastards, and then
not to mention the occasional tightrope walk as well.
Yeah. We've got the massive sort of poison gargoyles as well.
Which turns out you can poison.
Yeah, which I didn't realise.
It's entertaining. Oh, can we poison it? And you're like, nah, it won't work. Let's try. Start, shoot. Oh, he's poisoned.
Once again,
he's made of poison. How does that work?
Once again, poison arrows from distance.
Yeah. Travelling through, I got sort of shades of God of War as we were going through sort of the early part, especially with that big central column that you can twist around so you can get across the middle of the world. And kind of opens up like a shortcut from the fire straight forwards. And it reminds me so much of God of War, because there's so much of that in there. These big, huge bits of architecture just moving around. And they're always fun to watch. And that reminded me just like immediately, like, oh my God, I've done this before. And even so far as the big spiral staircases inside those big towers. Like I say, because in the God of War games, the bit I look forward to, more than the sex scene, is the bit when you go down a big spiral staircase and the camera looks down from the top, so you just run around in a little circle for a bit. And it's in every game, and it always makes me smile, because it's always like, oh yeah, they got the spiral and they remembered. Mm-hmm. And it's nice to know that it's not just the sex scene that comes up every time. I also get my staircase. It's like Metal Gear with the little small things like the cardboard boxes. Please let them keep the cardboard boxes, and every time they do, you're like, yes, you bastard. Or like the one in Peace Walker where you can get in one that looks a bit like a tank. It's like, that's cute. Little cardboard tank. But anyway, travelling through the stairs up with the skinny gargoyles on. That was fun. Mm-hmm. especially move up towards a couple of big giants, which we got rid of fairly easily, I thought, and some of the skinny bastards that let you up. The ones that carry you up to Anor Londo. And I'm thinking, are we going to aggro them and not be able to get down?
The thing is, if you let them get their attacking, they can be absolute beasts.
But I think we had a good handle on it. I think between the two of us, it was working quite well because they were kind of getting annoyed by one of us and ignoring the other one.
Yeah, so they were getting distracted.
You were going for. We shot a couple of them off the ledge with arrows, which was fun. And I definitely kicked one off the ledge.
You certainly did, I am addicted.
Yeah.
I am addicted to the right two of the bunny stick.
Yeah, just seeing you flying in from the side every so often, this stick going F you. And it's sometimes hard to tell if it was my boot that knocked him off or your stick, but it looked great every time.
We would double teaming sort of a lot of them sort of in a big way, like those armored gargoyles that came at us sort of early on. We pretty much battered into them quite quickly.
Yeah.
And at this point, I was thinking, in fact, I even said it. I was like, Paddy, this is a hard level.
That's the thing. With the two of us, it didn't feel hard because we were the enemies weren't really focusing on the two of us. They were going, right, I'm going to look at you. Right, I'm going to stab you up the arse. Hey, who did that? And then I'm going to stab you up the arse. And it was like we were playing tennis with them. It was great. Moving on forwards from that point, it was just a short hop and a jump to the big bit, the midpoint nightmare of Anor Londo. Those two archers.
Yes.
Now I think archers is probably the wrong word to use when describing those because they don't exactly shoot arrows.
You did have the exclamation that like those are spears.
He's thrown a javelin.
They are.
Yeah, I thought, okay, it's a big guy, they've probably got a big bow. You can see it from distance. They got a big old bow, and then the arrow thuds into the floor next to you. It's like, that's a spear.
We were sort of speculated. Is that even a word? Speculatively? No, probably not.
Speculative.
But we were sort of cobbing arrows up essentially into the sky and hoping that they let down on them.
It was an exercise in learning about parabolic arcs and ascertaining the best angle to fire upwards at. And it was on my screen, it was a good inch and a half over where they actually were before they dropped down and make the moment of attacking. But again, with poison arrows, they really made a mockery of them, I thought.
Yeah. If
you can hide and again with two of us, because they were looking at you, so I could get shots off, and then when they looked at me, you were getting shots off, and it was, with two of us, it was absolute piece of piss. On my own, I imagine that would be a nightmare, but with the two of us, I thought it was a piece of piss.
They are the point where a lot of people turn away from the game,
and I can see it. I really can see it, which is it just extols the virtue of bringing a friend.
But more than that, the solution, if you're looking at poison arrows, the solution is so desperately simple.
And I think it's the thing because it's poison arrows. Now we talked about this a little bit when we were playing. Myself, when I play an RPG or if I play any game like that, like your Final Fantasies, etc., I never use status effects because I find they never work. Or by the time they've made the damage, you might as well have just twatted the bastard.
Yeah, you were talking about this with
Final Fantasy. And in a lot of games, it's not quite as physical in a way, in that you're throwing your attack at him and he's throwing his attack back at you. So there's no such thing as hiding behind a wall. You're going to get hit by something. They're going to just run at you. Whereas these guys, they stay their ground and they won't move. So poison really is the cleverest thing to use.
But they are difficult to take on in battle. When I came into to Anor Londo and I took on the giants tonight, I thought, right, I'll throw a few great fireballs at those beasts and take them down. But those shields just turn down.
Yeah,
and the archers, even if you sort of run up the buttress to get to them, even with poise. Do you remember me showing you a little bit further on? I was like, look at how much this knocks me back.
Yeah, you went back like 10 feet.
Even with the wolf ring on.
Yeah. It was quite frightening, really. But yeah, that particular bit, we ran through that a couple of times because we got pegged later, which I will explain about later. Yeah. But I remember the second time we ran through, you started pegging them with arrows, and then I just saw you run away. It's like, where have you gone?
To bravery point, as I called it, about halfway up.
Letting the immortal phrase, "Where'd you go, brave bro?" I just see you pegging up the middle buttress, running at them. I was like, "Where are you going? I'm not that."
I was going to say that line may well be misconstrued and be a title for the episode, pegging you up through the middle buttress.
But yeah, and then you immediately said, "I'm running away, coward bro." That was fun. It was good. It was brave bro and coward bro. It started to feel like Anor Londo was turning into a bit of a buddy comedy.
But there was a certain point where I kind of made a run for that right hand one. You were like, "What are you doing?" And I kind of got near to it, and sort of the poison ran it down sort of before I could get a shot off, really. But
it would have been entertaining to see that fight. And I posited on the forum about I'd like to try and run up and Sparta kick one of them off, because I think that would look funny.
That would look
but yeah, I think Saber Swinger has already confirmed that it doesn't work because they are made of poise.
Oh right, gotcha.
Yeah. He's already all but confirmed, I think, that if you run up and do that, they'll just stand there and just go, no.
They're not actually people inside. They're former soldiers that their spirits inhabit the body, and the ones that are in the black ones that you've seen previously.
Yeah,
basically Gwyn's army that were burned by fire.
Because you see them in the opening credits.
Yeah.
Armies of them just stood there. And it's like, oh, fuck, there's loads of them. So, yeah, I mean, getting past that was fun. Was it very shortly after that we meet Siegmeyer? Did you go through some notes first? Or
we were going through sort of the different lanes with the shadows, and you were quite taken aback by the things that were hiding in the shadows. That you got all this clean beauty, and then you were inside, and all of a sudden you were getting the Silver Knights charging at you from the shadows, and
running at you, saying "lol, hello."
A couple of mimics, and then the point where
the mimics! Oh my god, yeah.
I was just taking out my ire on fireplaces.
Yeah, that was. It was fun because you said, "Come here, I'll show you a secret," and you sort of ran over to a fireplace and you twatted it, and nothing happened because I think you missed the point you were supposed to hit. And I was like, "What? Are you showing me that there isn't a secret area there?"
Then afterwards, it was like instant Christmas with you, because you were like, "What? Oh!" And then you were like,
all these shiny
"Oh, it's like a treasure trove." And I was like, "Look at this one, Patrick."
Yeah.
And I'd already told you how to sort of tell the difference between the mimics and the regular chests.
But I mean, for a moment in that room, I nearly forgot what game I was playing.
Yeah.
I was like, look at all this free stuff, and it almost didn't twig that with free stuff always comes pain.
But even thereafter, I think you were quite taken aback by things like the paintings on the walls. And
yeah, I mean, I was really interested in like looking at the paintings, because there was like a couple of things that I recognised that I've seen from other places, like Guinevere, I think her name is, isn't it? I recognised her on the wall, and there are a couple of paintings of places. It's like, that looks a lot like that place. Like you can see like the big curvy walls. There was a painting one of those on. It's like, I think I've been there. That was quite cool. And I was looking around as we went through, and again just going through odd doors and having Silver Knights being stood behind them, going hello. But I mean, with two of us, again, it was I just kind of run away and go, look at me, look at me, look at me, and you'd run behind and stab them up the arse. So good, yeah.
And then the incident.
Yeah. Now I'm not proud of this.
You were at the time.
I'm not
briefly, and then guilt really kicked in about 30 seconds afterwards.
Yeah, so we're trolleying through, and we get to the room where you meet Siegmeyer, the onion bro again, and he's stood there and he's a bit stuck and he's not sure where to go. And you sort of talk to him, and you go, okay, cool, I'll see if I can open the way.
The way this normally goes, the way this should go, is that he complains that there are lots of Silver Knights, and maybe he should come back with
like 5 guys,
chunk more men. Yeah,
bring some guys.
If you go in there, and there's at least 3, I think, in the next room. If you go in there, sort of trolley them, go back to Sigmeyer. He's quite happy, and he gives you something, and then he turns up at Filing Shrine, and I think he gives you something else.
Yeah.
But that didn't
That
happen.
wasn't what happened. What happened is we went into the next room and we kind of lured one back out, didn't we? We lured one of the Elite Knights, Silver Knight guys, into the room with Sigmeyer. Now, it's very important to anyone listening, don't do that. Because what will happen is the knight will come out and you'll fight him and you'll probably win. But what will happen is your sword will just carelessly nick Sigmeyer just on the knee or just on the elbow. You'll just kind of nick him.
I'm
And
not
then
sure. I'm not sure. Was it your sword or was it
it must have
one
been
of the knights?
No, because you can't aggro him.
No, I can't
I
even
don't
see
think the
it.
knights can either. I think it's only players that can aggro the NPCs. I was looking it up afterwards. So yeah, I must have nicked him with my sword because he was a bit close and it was a small room and I think we made a mistake by bringing him in there.
I do remember your Chihuahua yelp when you went, "I hit him."
Yeah, I saw him kind of stand up and get his sword out, and I thought, oh, piss. And because the sword he takes, it's a Zweihander. It's not a little pig sticker. It's a beast. And then cue panic when he starts chasing us around the area.
And we tried to run, didn't we?
Yeah, we
tried
ran
to get
back
away.
up the stairs to the open area where we were before. We ran back up the stairs, kind of tried to draw him away a bit, and then went back down and thought he'll get bored and he'll wait up there. So we carried on through, taking out those Silver Knights in the room just past where you meet him. And just as we were taking him out, thinking, yeah, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. And he turned up behind me.
But
Again, just
wasn't
swinging
that
this
the point
sword.
where
What?
we tried to quit and come back into it, and then wondered if
Well, you say we
Sigmeyer
tried to quit. That wasn't exactly what happened, was it?
Oh, you died, didn't you?
Yeah, I died. But as you were saying, maybe we should quit, is when he stabbed me in the head. So, I was like, okay, we quitted. Why? Because I'm dead. Oh.
And then in a world of absolute genius and something that scared the life out of both of us, and then proved like to be a degree of instant humour briefly, Sigmeyer seemingly ran half the level to twat you on.
That was run number 2, I think.
That was another one where you went to sort of Chihuahua pitch and you went,
Yeah.
"He's here!"
Yeah, it was at least 2 areas before you meet him. It was up, I think you meet him in a little room down a load of stairs, and it was on the courtyard above that room before we got there. And we were kind of moving through going, okay, we can do this, we can do this. And yeah, I remember just yelping, and you were like, what? I'm like, he's here! Because you can't see him, can you? You can
like,
see his ghost.
I'm gonna have to fight him.
Yeah, like you
I'm gonna have to fight him. And I was like, don't, and you were like, I'm gonna fight him.
The thing is, I was like, he's not going to leave me alone, and this level isn't easy. And it's already proven to be a bastard because he's chasing me around this big old lightning Zwei, and I can't get rid of him. So I thought, right, I've got to fight him. He's not going to leave me alone. We're never going to beat this without killing him. So yeah, I made a stand in the same route where he trashed me the first time, I think, wasn't it?
Because I thought because I could only watch on and see the ghost of him sort of fighting with you, but from what I could gather, for the most part, he was handing you your arse.
He's not a pushover by any stretch. He probably could have made that next room by himself. He's got his Zweihander and he's got a few different like patterns with it. Just when I thought I'd figured the pattern out, he'd hit me with a different attack. Lots of big long sweeps, ones that could. And when he actually hit me, he was like half my health in a single shot. You know, it's like, oh Jesus Christ. But yeah, after quite a bit of panic and running around in small circles, and then more panic, and then more running around in small circles, I finally trolleyed him, and I was feeling good about myself. And I was like, yeah, you'll trouble me no longer, Onion Man. Ha ha! And he dropped a ring or something. I was like, brilliant. And yeah, then you asked me to bow out of respect.
And what did you do, Patrick?
I shrugged at him.
And you did the, well, what is it gesture?
Yeah,
which turned my stomach, it has to be said. I gave you a chance of at least redemption.
Yeah.
Considering that circumstances had perhaps forced the situation onto him, and to try and leave you with a glimmer of respect at the end of it, at least bowing.
And I told his corpse to come at me, bro.
Yeah.
And yeah, I felt good. I was like, yeah, we can do the level now. And then as we started moving forwards,
it was literally within seconds.
Oh no, what have I done? And just just waves of remorse just washed over me. I was like, oh, he was a cool guy. I liked Onion, bro. What have I done?
It wasn't
Surely we
instantaneous.
could have
You were
done it.
like,
Yeah.
you were like, ha ha, on you, bro. And then there was silence, an
Oh,
uncomfortable silence. Then you went, I feel bad.
yeah.
I
See,
feel
now when I look at onions,
really bad.
onions make me cry for an entirely different reason now.
Absolutely. And the sad thing is that the saddest thing is you won't get to see Onion Bro's journey throughout the game because it is a stunning story.
Yeah. Well, the thing I found out, again, I think it was Saberswing, I mentioned it on the forum, he's got a daughter.
Yeah,
Now I feel worse.
yeah.
She's going to meet me, and I'm like, hey,
I don't know what happens with regards to the daughter if
yeah.
uh
I assume this is something not many people have done.
um yeah I get the feeling that's on your shoulders, mate. Because it's the equivalent of killing Solaire.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll be interested in seeing what actually does happen at the end. But yeah, I felt pretty terrible, and it kind of it soured the rest of the walkthrough. Anor Londo going, "I killed Onion, bro." Oh, but yeah, I mean,
Press on, and we
oh,
got to Keenan and Kel,
no,
and did
before that,
surprisingly well with them.
before we get to Keenan and Kel, you did lead me to surprise room,
I forgot
which
about that.
is funny.
Just have a look there, Patrick. What do you mean? Just have a
Surprise
look
room.
there.
I'll explain. Oh, yeah, so surprise room. We were walking through the doored area where there's lots of rooms. You go door number 1, door number 2, door number 3, and you were like, I'm going to let you go in this one. Have a look. What's in there? And I kind of walked very slowly forwards, just up to the door.
Matter of fact, wasn't it? Just have a look in there, Patrick.
Just have a look. I'll have a little goosey. I'll have a goosey gander. I'll have a little butcher's. And I toddled up and I sort of turned the camera around and I saw something big and grey, and it was moving. I thought, oh, it's probably a knight. And then just span the camera around a little bit and saw a single solitary giant leg.
And you went, oh no.
Nope. Turned around and I ran away.
Big thing in a little room.
Dark Souls 101.
Oh, what film's that from? That's a Chris Farley one, isn't it? Bad guy in a little coat. Is it Black Sheep?
It might be.
Yeah.
I can't remember. But yeah, I think we got rid of him all right after the initial panic of, oh Jesus, there's one of those in there.
We did.
How did he get in there? It's not a big door.
I don't know. I think there's generally
I think he got built in there.
An unusual sense of scale for Dark Souls anyway, because sometimes you can get characters can change the size, or for example, if you defeat a giant and you get the giant shield scales to you. And Mike McWhirter even said that there's something with regards to the clothes, that the clothes will fit whomever is wearing them, whether they be male or female or
almost like One Ring from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just an interesting thing. But yeah. I do think that's fantastic because you've only really taken them on in wide spaces, and even at the bottom of Sen's Fortress,
you've still got a bit of room, yeah.
Yeah, but having one that's packed in there is just phenomenal. And if you go down into the main chapel where the two main knights are,
yeah,
if you stop, you can actually hear that Titanite demon breathing.
Oh wow!
You could just hear it like in the distance. I was like, oh my god, that's so cool.
Nice. But I'll never hear that now because I killed him and I'm very happy. So yeah, Fatty and Skinny, Snorlax and Pikachu,
yeah,
Little and Large, Keenan and Kel, Little and Large. I can't think of any more.
Laurel and Hardy,
Rosencrantz and Guildenstern.
I have no idea what you're on about.
That's a Shakespeare one, I think. Ren and Stimpy.
Solid Snake and Totoro.
Okay, moving on. Yeah, that fight, because we looked around for a friend to help us because it was just me and you at that point, and we were looking for a soul sign. There were none. There was not a single one. So we brought Solaire, which you thought was not an optimal move, but a necessary one.
Yeah, I mean, normally if you can get somebody else to pitch in,
a human's probably better.
But we did remarkably well on that.
Yeah, I mean, the initial worry of seeing them both kind of turn up and going, oh, geez, and seeing Ornstein's the thin one, right?
Yeah, Ornstein's the thin one, and
Ornstein
Smough
just
the fat one.
dashing forwards. It's like, oh, fuck berries. Sort of panicked a bit. But between the three of us, I think we did, because I think Solaire was keeping Ornstein busy.
Yeah. I
We
think
went and trolleyed
I
Smough.
underestimated the Lord of Sunlight.
Yeah, and what I noticed during the Smaug fight, because he's the big fat guy with the giant hammer,
Yeah.
is I was sort of pyromancying him from a distance. His hammer is so big, it was actually blocking my pyromancy blasts when it got in the way.
Well, one thing
It
that
was
surprised
clipping
me.
them and it was stopping them, and I was like, bloody Christ.
One thing that surprised me with regards to that fight was because I went in with a reinforced club,
Hmm.
and it was the first time I'd normally on other characters I'd sort of stay back and use either lightning spear or a great lightning spear or sort of chuck out a bit of magic,
Hmm.
and I'm going for more of a sort of strength and dex sort of quality build on this one with a bit of pyromancy.
Oh.
So I was waiting for Smough to throw down the hammer or to do a swing, and then jumping in with the R2 attack,
Hmm.
and it was battering him, like
That R2 attack
really
batters.
seriously battering him. And I was like, I was stunned by the amount of energy it was taking off, to the point where it got to when he died and we got Super Ornstein,
Hmm.
and
Which was funny.
yeah, you were
Oh,
like, "What's
God.
going on? What's going?" Oh,
He Power Rangered. He Rita Repulsor shot him from space, and he became big.
but that was the point where you were distracting him, and I piled in with my pyromancy at that point.
Yeah, and I mean it was a great, really good fight, and sort of running back and forwards, and it again, I think having two of us, and I think Solaire was being handier than I think we expected him to be,
Yeah,
because he was drawing a lot of the aggro, so we could kind of just stand back and twat from a distance, and it was a proper good fight. Really, really enjoyed it. And yeah, the two of them went down, and we sort of celebrated and picked up the Hawk ring. Is it the Hawk ring? What's the ring we picked up?
no,
Is it the Leo ring?
we picked up the Hawk ring a little bit before that when you saw
Yeah.
the blacksmith, which rather impressed you.
Oh yeah, big old
But
fatty blacksmith. Yeah, we picked up that ring,
it was
and
the Leo ring we got from that, because who could remember, who could forget your Willy jokes?
yeah, when I picked up the ring, I was quite happy that we'd battered them in one go, because I'd heard they were a bit of a pain. And I picked up the ring, and I was excited. And not to put it too lightly, I believe I said, "Oh, that ring feels good on my dick."
Yeah, and the irony being that the Leo ring improves thrust attacks. So
It was a
Talols.
delightful coincidence. Yeah, so we smashed them and trolleyed up the stairs, and went into the next room with the big lass.
Mhm.
And see, now I'd heard that she's the, oh, look at her amazing chest ahead, because she's a bountiful lady.
Gonna say, Gwendolyn, she may
Mm.
have her knockers. So I
But
did.
I didn't realise, because I didn't realise she was, when she was a big lass, I didn't realise she was a normal proportioned woman,
Mhm.
but 3 times bigger than you. Because I went in and I was a bit shocked. I was like, she's fucking huge.
Mhm.
I worry. I was scared she was going to reach out and batter me. Like, oh, you killed my friends. Like, oh no. But it turns out she really likes you. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Met
Else,
one woman and she really likes you. I was like, I'll take
else, else, pitch a caravan between her baps.
that.
But this
Yeah, getting
whoever's
the Lord Vessel, which is a tasty piece of loot.
whoever's
Tasty.
done the voice acting as well on Gwendolyn's done a wonderful job, because she does sound so warm
Mm.
and so welcoming. It's a really wonderful piece of vocal acting, I think.
Mm. And the combined with the lighting in that room, it's a very warm
Yeah.
harem sort of atmosphere. I felt.
Even the music plays another wonderful cue.
Mm. It was just for her. It was
Yeah.
nice. It was fun. It was really, really cool. Yeah, getting that Lord Vessel was a great little thing to have, because the Lord Vessel lets you walk bonfires. Thank Jeebus, so I didn't have to run all the way home.
Does indeed.
Yeah, but yeah, before I did that, I while you were still on call, I activated the cracked black orb thing,
Mm.
dropped by Mr. Lautrec,
Le,
the
Le Bastard.
scandalous bastard behind Murder at Firelink.
And sort of Dark Souls, distant relative of the person that murdered nearly everybody in the Nexus whilst you weren't
Do you
looking
mean Yurt the
in
bastard?
Demon Souls, yeah.
Yeah, Yurt the bastard. He is not your friend. But yeah, this time it was the stakes were in my favour this time. So I used my little item, which is just outside where you fight Fatty and Skinny, and it drops you into kind of his world. In effect, you kind of invade his world as a phantom almost. And I thought he's over there. He's got a couple of friends. I'm going to peg him with a poison arrow. So I pegged him, and no one moved. And I pegged him again, and no one moved. And then he got poisoned. And I stood still for a good 3 or 4 minutes watching him die. And I managed to clear that whole... I killed him without actually moving after entering the world. It felt good.
I think somebody figured out as well that at the point where after you rescue him that he goes to Firelink and he sits down outside the Firekeepers.
He does.
Somebody figured out that you can actually kick him straight off the world. Which is funny. But if you try and engage him in combat, Christ, tears you a new arse with those shotles.
I've heard as much. I've heard he's a bit of a git with those.
Yeah, just unstoppable.
Yeah, trolleyed his bum. Before I went home, made a quick trip to the big blacksmith, the big fatty iron giant blacksmith, which was nice to see a friendly one of those. Made myself Kellogg's Fury Sword, which is the special weapon you make from Kellogg, the spider's soul. Which is basically, it looks like fucking Soul Blade. It's awesome. It's a giant, spiky, angry-looking, like the Drake sword if it was spiky and hairy.
It's like a sparkler on bonfire night.
Yeah, it's delightful. The swing as well. There's the fire blade comes like the fire effect as you swing is amazing. And I played with the moveset of this a bit later because it's kind of got a scimitar-esque moveset, like lots of sweeps and swipes. Every single move on that is weird.
Yeah.
Like the standard R2 attack is kind of a big sort of swinging charge. It does fire damage. The kick move with the Kellogg's Fury Sword, it's not a kick. The kick move is a low swipe of the sword and a dainty little cartwheel backwards. It's the silliest. It's like sweep and away, and it acts as a dodge. It works like a dodge roll. You don't get hit while you're doing the little roll. I tried it out on the Painting Guardians later, and I was like, "Fuck, this is working." Even like the run attack, you sort of run towards a guy, go for the attack, and rather than a sideways sweep, it does this kind of overhand, kind of downwards chop. Kind of a swinging chop, which is really cool. And the roll move as well. I mean, every single move is great. Roll attack does a dainty little ballerina twirl. With the sword kind of just out in front of you and kind of just goes spin and hurts anything around you. It's proper good little weapon. And I've got it up to +5. I thought, screw it, I like it.
Cool. So what tempted you to play about with it? Because when you initially got it, there were a few sort of sparks and twirls, and you're like, oh, this is pretty. And then you weren't that arse with it, and you went back to the fire longsword, I think it was.
Yeah, I did. What I did is I looked at the stats on my fire broadsword, and I kind of did a bit of comparing, and I thought, well, this is an unupgraded Fury Sword. And I've got quite a lot of Demon Titanite, and let's be fair, I'm not going to make a giant hammer with it. I'm going to need a sword, because that's what I've been using. I thought, well, this is a sword, and it's already at a base level, it's matching my best weapon that I've got so far. Let's push it up a bit. So I popped an extra level on top of it, and it's like, oh, that's quite a good bonus. Popped another one, that's a really good bonus. How much Demon Titanite have I got? Just enough. Leveled it all the way up to +5. And yeah, I think the base damage stat went up to about 400 at the moment.
Cool.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not amazingly well statted, to be fair. I mean, I've been keeping my stats fairly reasonable, so I'm not very well statted, and it's a beast of a weapon, and because it does a lot. It's fire damage, which everything hates pretty much. Well, everything I've met so far, nothing likes fire, which is wonderful. And it also scales with humanity. So the more humanity you've got, the more dangerous it is as well, which is cracking, proper fun. And it's got a funny moveset, and that more than anything is why I think I'm keeping it. Is because it's got an amusing moveset.
I think there's something to be said though for the fact that there are so many weapons that have got individual movesets, and if you spend a little time getting used to them, I mean, not all of them sort of make sense or feel right, but often you might find something which is a little bit out of your comfort zone. But when you play about with it, you start thinking, actually, this is really good.
I mean, like the R2 attack for it, it's a bit slower, but if you pick your moment, it's devastating.
Yeah,
absolutely devastating. Really, like I would say comparable to the Smack Hammer. In terms of bloody Christ, when you think, what number did I just see flash up as damage?
Cool. Well, I look forward to when we have a trolley through Anor Londo in my game. I look forward to seeing it in action then.
Doubling along. But yeah, that's not the end of the tale of what I did in Dark Souls this week. What I also did, I went out to Firelink, I restored it, I laughed, I was happy, I smiled, I clapped. I got my Firekeeper back. I was really happy.
Did you speak to her? Because
I did. I said hello. Yeah.
That really upsets me. Really upsets me.
Yeah, it's a weird chat because she's thankful that she's alive again, but she's kind of sorry to talk. But she doesn't think she's worthy of talking.
I think when you first start the game, I'm sure I've heard it mentioned before that the Firekeeper's actually got a tongue torn out at the start of the game.
Yeah.
But and so she can clearly speak again. But
so do you think maybe by dying and coming back, she's regenerated much like you do at a bonfire?
Possibly, but there's something deeper that disturbs me about the Firekeepers, which I've not really sort of researched fully, but it's something to do with the fact that it feels like that the Keepers of the Flame are all women, and that these are women that have been kind of put into servitude, that have been persecuted.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that there's something about kind of almost like a woman being mother, if you will, that makes her the Keeper of the Flame. And it just affects me. It just affects me. And when you have that conversation with her, and she's grateful, but she's so unhappy. There's as if there's almost a degree of religion has been drummed into her to such a degree, or
she's almost ashamed of.
Yeah, or horrible things have been done to her family, and she's been put there, and she feels that this is what she's got to do, as to whether it's to save the land or whether she's unhappy but feels that she can't speak.
Yeah.
But
I mean, she raises another question for me when you bring her back to life and she goes back into her little hole near the bonfire.
Yeah.
What that raises for me is, are there more of them? Because she's the only one you ever actually really see, I think. And
think of this. This was I've started listening to Bonfire Side Chat, and there was something pertaining to the Firekeepers that was raised there, which I said to you that are there more of them that we can't see? Are they
in holes in the ground, maybe
buried underground? But I also put this to you, which is a really interesting thing, that when you go to Undead Parish, you go into the chapel there for the first time, and you've got the Boulder Knights, and you've got the Channeler. But you've also got the Tower Knight that comes out the first time, and he doesn't regenerate afterwards. But the Tower Knight's actually protecting a Firekeeper soul. On that slab near the statue at the back.
Yeah.
And as to whether he's stopping somebody else getting it, or he's there's a degree in Dark Souls of creatures that are protecting the dead, You find this out in Lost Eyes a bit later, where you've got ceaseless discharge, and the fact that he doesn't attack until you essentially rob the robes of his dead sister. And I'm wondering if that's the case as well. And another thing that was mentioned by Bonfireside Chat was that the channelers in themselves come from the Duke's archives and seem to be servants of Seath the Scaleless. So is this showing just how the world has fallen when such creatures are kind of out of their comfort zone and have invaded other places within the world because they're not from there? And all it can take sometimes is somebody noticing something different, or putting two and two together with the lore, or something that happened in the background, or an enemy, and it just on a personal note, it just spins me off like 100 times deeper, trying to, well, not only thinking about it but tying further things together.
Yeah. So when you think, you go, hang on a minute. It changes everything. You think, hang on, well, that's that, and that's that. And you kind of start putting, like you say, two and two together.
Well, even things that have been on my mind recently of the fact that that you've got Solera of Astora, but also the as Santa, as we like to know him, is Andre of Astora, and Andre's got the crest of Artorias, and is Artorias from Astora as well. And you start to think of who are the creatures who are the people from Ulasil, who are those from Karim, who are there for. Do you know what I mean? You start putting these characters together with the lands that they're originally from.
Yeah.
And again, you just start thinking, well, how do they know each other? Why does Andre have Artorias' crest? And little things like that. And a few of these were, like I say, a few of these clues were picked up in Bonfireside Chat. But when people start picking up on new perspectives and little nuances like that, you start adding them to your own and those that you've noticed elsewhere, and the plot just thickens, the spoon just sweetens, that you continue to stir more and more. And I find the storytelling genuinely fascinating in this game, and I think it's far and away above anything I've experienced in gaming.
Yeah, that was very well put. It's storytelling that doesn't really, that it makes you invest in it yourself in a way.
But you can go
through the game just thinking it's a game about monsters.
But you can go entirely through this game and enjoy the gameplay. The story does not affect the gameplay one jar.
No. It's only when you make a bad decision like Onion Bro you start to feel bad about it. But even then, I mean,
if you're just playing it sort of for the thrill of the game and the action and the atmosphere and stuff, you can still do that. And for most people, the first time that they play through it is not the point where they're noticing lore or the nuances. That comes in with the second playthrough, the third playthrough, the fourth playthrough.
Yeah, the first playthrough is the learning how to twat stuff playthrough.
And then leap into YouTube videos and podcasts, and it just keeps getting deeper. And I think that's why people are still playing, and why people are discussing so much and so fascinated about the game, is that it rocks my socks off. It genuinely does. But I mean, going back to the Firekeeper, that genuinely upsets me, and it's one conversation that you have.
Well, speaking about other,
so upset, just so incredibly upset.
Yeah. Well, speaking of other things that were upsetting, shall we say, at Firelink, I went to go speak to King Seeker Frampt, the big scary snake that I initially cacked my pants when I saw, because Gwendolyn, when you meet her, or Guinevere, sorry, she mentions him. And you're like, okay, Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll go talk to him. Yeah. And
I
he
know
goes,
what you're talking about
I
now.
I see you have the Lord vessel. Superb. Shall we move on? I'm like, okay, yeah. Um, yeah. And then King Seeker Frampt kind of stretches up. And before it even happened, I knew what was going to happen. He leaned back, and I saw him open his mouth, and I thought, oh shit, this is only going one way, isn't it? And then he eats you. Or he puts you in his mouth. But he opens his mouth, and he puts you in it, and then he closes his mouth, and then he vanishes off down a fucking hole. And I was thinking, oh, piss. Oh, what have I done? Oh, no. And what I really liked is the next part is he kind of stretches out from the ceiling upside down
Yeah.
and dumps you on the floor with his kind of moustaches kind of flopping upside down. Goes, there, place the Lord vessel, sir, and move on. And this is the point where I started fretting and panicking because I couldn't see another way out. And I went to talk to him. I was like, well, I don't want to go place the Lord vessel because I just got it. I thought, if I put that down, am I going to not be able to warp?
Uh-huh.
Because I just got that. I've used it one time. I don't want to lose it.
Uh-huh.
So I went and sort of went over to Kingseeker Frampton and went, should we go? And he went, stop dilly-dallying, put the thing down. And he just kept saying that over and over. And I'm starting, I flat out panicked. I was thinking, do I put it down? Do I roll off the edge and kill myself just to go back? In the end, I had to Google it because I couldn't make a move.
What was this decision paralysis?
Yeah, I couldn't put the Lord vessel down without making sure that I could still warp because it was so fucking useful. I thought, I'm not losing it. I've only had it 3 minutes. But then it occurred to me, it transpired that even after placing said Lord vessel, you can still warp. So I did it without worrying because I would have jumped off the edge of that area and killed myself to get back.
Now,
I was this close to doing that.
The interesting thing with Frampt is that you'll something that you probably chow into in your second playthrough is that there's two of them. There's Kingseeker Frampt and there's Kingseeker Calf.
I've heard about Calf. I've heard he's a bit more.
Calf is in the abyss, but Calf puts a different perspective on what you should be doing, and what's actually happened. And Calf is the basically he's the head of the Dark Wraiths. And Artorias approached the Dark Wraiths to traverse the abyss for some reason, which ended up being the DLC.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, as soon as we get to the DLC stuff and we've done it, that's going to be a hell of a podcast back because I can tell you something now that I've noticed something that I don't think has been mentioned in any podcast or any YouTube video ever, because I've tied all of that stuff together. Hopefully with a few things that haven't been noticed, but I genuinely think that I've got something that's...
You've got something. You've detectorated.
I genuinely think that I've got something, and it drives me mad.
We're going to have to get cracking then.
Because it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's the greatest story ever told. And it makes me cry to think about it because it's so deep and it's so brilliant. And as much as you've got all of this lore and all of these worlds that are tied together that you can speculate on, as far as I'm concerned, there's something far more concrete in the DLC, and the story of Artorias, and Hawkeye Goth, and the people of Ulasil is amazing. And there was something that I noticed the other night as well that I knew that Ulasil was 1,000 years in the past, and it was sort of built on the or it was similar to the forest, Darkroot Forest.
Yeah.
And last night I was playing and I'd gone through the forest a different way, and I realised that that Darkroot Forest backwards is the Royal Wood in Ulasil, with like slightly different bits in there, and that Ulasil Township or how shall I put it? The undead burg is built on top of Ulasil Township.
Oh, wow.
Which was like, I was staring at it at a certain point and just went, oh my god, it actually is. And I knew that it was set sort of 1,000 years in the past, and I'd been through Royal Wood, and there'd been a few bits where I'd gone, oh yeah, I understand that bridge is similar to something that's in Royal Wood, but I didn't realise that Royal Wood pretty much is Darkroot Forest backwards.
Oh wow!
With certain things that are there, certain things that are not. But how many times have I done that? And even today, as a bizarre thing, that I was on Tumblr and somebody pointed something out on Tumblr to do with New Londo ruins and a character that appears in Firelink Shrine, and almost everybody had never seen this happen. Because it was a character that you talk to if you talk to them after the Four Kings battle, they move to Firelink Shrine, and literally nobody talks to them.
Oh.
So this guy on Tumblr was sort of the amount of times I've played Dark Souls, and I never knew this happened, and I sort of popped the link across to a few folks, and they were like, never seen that happen. So yeah, it's quite bizarre.
Yeah. Okay. Now, moving on.
Yeah.
I have one more story to tell.
Cool.
But we are at an hour. Do you want to hear the story, or shall we?
Hear the story.
Okay, we'll hear the story. Go on then. What? It's bumper edition. Why not? Let's make it a bumper edition. Right. After traversing and twatting about in Anor Londo, I remembered seeing the big painting.
Oh.
And I thought, no, I've got the item for that. I could go do that. Let's have a little looky. So I poddled off back to Anor Londo. I trolleyed back through and I found the big painting. Let me
just say at this point that I am completely envious of you doing that for the first time. It
was fun. It was a really, really cool. It's the painted world of Arames, or Aramay?
Yeah, Ariamis, I think you might.
Ariama, oh cool, blimey.
Something like that.
Mixing it up Borrower's style. I trolleyed on through. I thought, go on then, let's have a little fan. And obviously seeing the Dark Souls 2 reveal, the trailer, seeing the walk along the bridge, I thought, well, I've got to have a look at this place now, see what's going to happen there. So yeah, I was expecting the bridge to explode as I walked across to go in. The entire thing, fuck. Went up the initial set of stairs up to the thing. Was worried I was going to get jumped the entire way up. It's quite a quiet lead-in until you get to the bonfire. Nothing really happens till you hit the bonfire, and I was kind of worried the whole time.
You know that point where you first hit the bridge? When you first basically sort of walked through the painting, I just stood there and just caught my breath.
It's great how they've taken that exact shot or the exact painting.
Yeah.
And they drop you in at that exact point, and you're stood in it at that point.
It's breathtaking. I mean, it puts me in mind of doing paper rounds when I was a kid on snowy mornings and just seeing untouched snow.
Whiteness.
Yeah, I just think it's absolutely glorious. And to say you've got that monolith of a painting on the wall, when you walk into it, it is painted colours that you're amidst, and it's so affecting.
Yeah, I mean the size of the painting as well helps the illusion as well. You're like, wow, that's a big painting, big place.
Absolutely.
So yeah, trolleyed on through, hit the first bonfire. Had a bit of a trouble with the first few wretches. I wasn't expecting them to be tough because you see wretches, you think, all right, I'll just wait and I'll smack him. But I didn't expect them to be that tough. So I got through them eventually. Trolleyed on up the stairs, sort of started making my way through. Got a couple of archer ones, piss off archers, I'll smack you. And then I met my new friends.
Are we talking about the flaming bollocks, or are we talking?
Yes, we are talking about the flaming bollocks.
Because there's better friends than that. Shall we?
Oh yeah, in due time, sir. In due time. Friend number one. Yeah, I've not heard of a better expression than the flaming bollocks. I was thinking as the toxic plague faces. But yeah,
say the flaming bollocks will be top of that bill The toxic flame faces would be second.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the Flaming Bollocks. So yeah, they shocked me. They nearly got me on the first run because I wasn't expecting them to shoot gouts of fire at me. So I thought, okay, they're a big. They look a bit like, for want of a better word, tumorous. Like they've blobbed up for some horrible medical reason. And I thought, okay, I'll just twat them one, and then they started gobbing fire at me. I panicked. I was like, what?
So the game surprised you again.
It looked like they were chucking fireballs, and I was like, they could use combustion. I was like, they can't use combustion. They don't know pyromancy. So I kind of thought, right, no, fuck this, and I trolleyed on hard with my Kellogg sword, with my with me cornflake sword, and I got through them eventually, and I only found out afterwards that apparently if you don't use fire to kill them, they burst in a big toxic puddle. And I found that out like 3 hours after I'd finished the level when I was just looking at it online.
Oh, wow.
I was like, really? I was like, cool.
I like that you're doing some sort of like homework afterwards.
Yeah, I like to see, I like to go back through and have a look. Yeah, and think, oh, cool, seeing what else is there, what other little things that I might have cocked up that I kind of might have walked through and other people found tricky. But yeah, no, I had no idea. I was like, that could have gone way worse. So luckily, thank you, Kellogg's Fury Sword, flaming my way through. I then spent possibly 10 minutes trying to jump from the inside of a building, very, very near the start. There's a building, and there's kind of a broken floor, and there's a ledge just outside of a doorway with an item on it.
Yeah, I think I know the one you mean.
It's like a dried finger. And I thought, okay, I was inside the house, and I could look out, and it was a level run with a big hole in the floor. And I thought, I can run at that and jump and go through the doorway and land on that little platform. For about 10 minutes, I tried to do that and ran and was just kind of kicking off the door and like knocking off the side and flopping down. And when you convince yourself that you can do something,
yeah,
when it is clearly obvious that you cannot.
And
I had to I think Laura was watching me play as well, and I've got to stop because I can't do. Okay, one more. No, it's not working. So I thought, okay, fuck that. I can't do that, and I couldn't see another way of doing it. I thought, well, piss. So I left it. I thought, oh, I have to leave it behind. Went downstairs in that room, and I met the white rats.
Yeah.
Now I saw them, and I thought something's not right with these rats. These are probably really dangerous. So I just went straight on the attack. Didn't even let them get an attack in. Because I sort of thought they're going to inflict me with some sort of status or some sort of like parasitic status wound or something. I thought, fuck that. So I went on the attack, and for the entire level, every single white rat I saw, I just charged at and battered, because you look at them and you think you're full of something.
They do seem remarkably cagey.
And they don't often attack. They kind of hang back a bit, which I've noticed that do a lot more actually. Now I'm a bit more leveled up. They kind of hang back. They've got a fear in them, which a lot of enemies don't seem to have. They kind of back off more. But yeah, trolleyed them without worries, and yeah, moved on through the level. Again, nearly got trolleyed by another couple of those flaming head toxic bollock bastards. Got invaded during, which was a worrying 5 minutes because I couldn't see them for about 3 minutes.
Yeah, there are some
running around. I couldn't see them. Yeah, I thought I'd see it, but it was another toxic bollock in the distance. It's like, where are they?
I had somebody invade me that was wearing Onion Bros armor, which I think was it Onion Bros or Smough's? I think it might have been Smough's, that is resistant to poison.
Yeah.
And was just trying to lure me towards that dragon throwing me. And then my weapon broke and I got poisoned, and they just absolutely walloped me.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I got invaded. I was hanging in the rafters in a room a little way in, and they kind of came up on the other side of the rafters and sort of looked at me and waved. We bowed, and it was a good fight. Ultimately, I died by my own fault. I made the mistake of trying to Estus, and they just ran behind me and backstabbed me, so it was my own fault. I thought I had an opening, and I didn't. And I saw they just walked around calm as anything and went, jab! And I was I sent them a little message as well on PSN going, fair enough, my own fault. And they went, don't worry about it. So it's quite nice. So yeah, that was fun. So I kept trotting through the level, twatting the toxic flaming bollock bastards as you do, and I got to the big round tower, and I met the crows.
You know something?
Or the harpies, or the ravens. What? I was calling them harpies, and Laura was calling them crowmen.
Did you early on in the game, when you first encountered the first undead, if you go to the left rather than going to the right and encountering the flaming bollocks, if you go to the left, you can go towards the top of a building.
Yep.
And the interesting thing there is you can see a couple of those crow guys on top of like far distant building, and you think, can I pick those off with arrows? And then you have a bash, and you think, I'm sure I've hit them, but no, nothing's happening. And you turn your back, and that's the point where one of them unnaturally leaps across about 5 buildings and lands and twats you, and it's so disturbing.
See, now I had the opposite thing with those. I thought the crow guys were an absolute piece of piss bag.
Really?
Every time they jumped at me, because I met them a few times in my time in the painted world, and every time they jumped, they'd like jump off a ledge or fall down a hill, or they'd just completely miss, and then I wouldn't see them again.
How did you get on with them when you were climbing to the top of that incredibly large tower, especially knowing your fear of heights from
the big round tower? I had flashbacks to 3-2 from Demon Souls. The big, long, spiral, thin staircase going up.
Yeah.
I had flashbacks there.
But the actual staircase of that wasn't out in the middle of the sky.
Yeah.
as the top. It
had a place to go, whereas this one's just walking out into nothing. I thought something bad's going to happen, so it's going to jump out and bop me. And I saw one stood about 20 feet away from the top of the thing, and I kind of made my way up slowly, and I got to the item, and I picked it up, and he didn't move. So I thought, I might have got away with this. So I turned around and I walked off, and he never bothered me. I was like, belter.
The worst one I've had on those is where I've been climbing the tower and I've turned around and I've seen one literally almost tiptoeing behind me.
Because they've got little tiny crow feet. They move quietly.
But there's feet. Something else to ponder as well is that the creature that brings you as the chosen undead to Laundren is a giant crow.
True.
And is that something to do with it? The manipulations of has the painted world fallen? Has it been invaded?
Well, I think that's really interesting, because I think you were mentioning the painted world is theory to be somewhere where the gods would put things they thought could hurt them, and the fact there are crow people there, and the fact that the big crow seems to be on your side makes you think: is the big crow? Did they get out of the painting?
Well, that's where you find the occult stuff. I think there's this dark magic that's in there. And did you meet the pinwheels underneath the ground? Your old mates, the pinwheels.
I did meet them later, and I will cover that in just a moment. While I was in the tower, I did fall off of the top. Not the top. I fell. I was quite low down when I fell, but I did fall into the middle of the tower, and I thought, oh, for piss sake. Went through the only door I could. And met another old friend from a different game.
The Phalanx.
The Phalanx, yeah. And I saw them kind of spread out from this, because they're kind of huddled around a statue, and I saw them spread out. And I was like, oh, bollock bags. And the amount of them was quite worrying initially. Like, I saw them, and I tried chucking a couple of balls at them, a couple of fireballs, and they were getting one or two, but a lot of them were blocking around. And I thought, what did I do? I've beaten this at much lower levels in a different game. What did I do? I ran around behind them and I stabbed them up the bumhole. So that is what I did, and it worked amazingly well.
Oh, fantastic.
And again, fire sword, 2 hits, dead.
Superb.
Bish bash dead, and I trolled the whole lot.
Was it fire sword or was it Kellogg's?
Kellogg's, but Kellogg's has got fire on it as well. So it's got more fire damage than regular damage, I think. But yeah, it was Kellogg's sword. But yeah, basically it was running around behind, fire, gone in about a minute. It was really quite easy in general, which I was quite happy about. So I opened up the ways through, opened up the shortcuts from the inside, trolleyed on over to the left-hand side, the big empty graveyard. I met the invader, King Xanthus.
Cool. Did you
Uh,
get gear?
I eventually did. With the actual invasion, he started running at me, and I think he's a magical pyromancer.
He's a stupid, syrupy spoonhead. Is what he is.
Yeah, he was dropping firestorms. He was dropping them firestorms like no one's business, and I was getting a bit concerned. So I kind of started. I think I'd equipped my flame sword again for some reason. I can't remember why, because I was doing the kick attack, and I can't do that with my Kellogg sword. And I was doing the kick attack. I kicked him off the edge.
Oh wow!
I just started punting him. I thought, I wonder if I was trying to hit him back, and I was knocking in the odd kick every now and again, because I was kind of frantically hitting him, and he just kind of vanished.
I love that kick move.
It's good because if he's on the right person, it can knock him back a good few feet, and that can make all the difference. I kicked him off the ledge. I was like, sweet, nailed it. So brilliant. Trotted on back, carried on through the level, and I got to the outside of the big tower.
Uh-huh.
And I looked in the distance, and you see a big shape. You think, okay, there's a big organic-looking shape lying on that bridge. Oh, I know what game I'm playing. I remembered this time. So I sort of tried to peg it from arrows from a distance. That didn't work, so it was too far away. So I started moving on the bridge. I didn't expect it to charge. I expected to get closer before it woke up.
Uh-huh.
So you're still like a good sort of 30, 40 meters away, and you just sort of see it move in the distance. I thought, right, I'm going to run away because I know what's happening. And it was a good job I did, because it literally charges at you and starts puking with much greater range than the first one you meet in the Valley of the Drakes. The range on the puke is much, much bigger.
It certainly is.
Yeah, so I was going to do the same thing, stand back and pyromance it from a distance, but that was immediately discounted when he got me from my position of safety. So I ran away, and I started pegging him with arrows, not poison arrows, because he's literally made of poison. So I was just pegging him with the standard arrows. And while I was doing that from my safe point, I looked over and I saw another shape on the bridge. And I thought, there's another one. Mm-hmm. And I thought, oh, hang on, no, it can't be another one. He's just sitting there. He would have woken up as well. Mm-hmm. And then I looked at the dragon there. I thought, where's his legs? And what this dragon does is he breaks himself in half in his rage, and he drags his top half at you. That blew my brain out. I wasn't sure what to make of that. Because only when I went along that bridge after I beat him, I looked at it, I thought, what am I looking at? And I sort of, you stand back a bit and you look from different sides. Well, there's a leg, and there's a leg, and that looks like a rib. Oh, Jesus, it's his bum. But it still moves.
It's fun that the game is still surprising you. I like that.
Yeah, and it twitches. The tail still twitches.
Uh-huh.
You can just see it around the corner. I think, is this going to wake up as well and try and kick me or poop on me? So I got a bit confused, and I thought, do I have to go through it? Like, do I have to climb through his body to get past it? And I kind of tried a few things. I kind of hit it a few times, but nothing was really working. So I thought, right, okay, well, there's something I need to do here. And I remembered the other door in the bottom of the tower that I've got to open. I thought, there's another door. There's got to be a mechanism. And that is when I went downstairs into the bottom. Now, when I met the people in the sewer, when I met the people in the sewer, I shat a brick. Because we're talking 9 out of 10. Because I don't like those pinwheel men, the skeletons with the pinwheel bodies. I don't like them.
But they do that wonderful trick again where it's like, oh, you remember those things that you fought in a wide open space that you crapped yourself over?
Fuck you, small and dark.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, no, it was because I still not got past those in the catacombs on my own. They get me every single time. And the first one, barreled out of the dark, I absolutely cacked my pants and went back up the ladder. I was like, nope! Run. And it kind of tagged me a couple of times going up the ladder. And I was like weeping. I was like, no, you fucking bastards! Ran away a bit. Sort of went back to the bonfire. I cashed in all my souls, as repaired my equipment and leveled up a few times. I thought, because I had about 60k on me at this, I thought, I'm not losing them to them skinny bastards again. So I leveled up as much as I could, then went back down again. And with some limited success, I actually managed to clear them out in one go.
Well done.
I think I finally worked out how to move out of the way. If you try and take the hit on your shield, you're an idiot.
Oh, you stuffed you out. I mean,
Yeah.
if anything, kind of take the hit yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I was sort of trying to kite them out and kind of go out, take one and run back, go out, take one and run back. And a couple of times I'd go out, think I'd got one, run back, and it would hit me in the back as I was running away and just flatten me in one move.
Yeah, it's either that or kind of just dodge out the way, then run after them until
But
they
not
hit
too
a
quickly.
wall.
But not too quickly. Because
Yeah.
if you go too close, they just hit you in the backswing,
Uh-huh.
the back wheel. But yeah, I got rid of them, and the problem was I didn't know how many there was. So I was tiptoeing around that area for longer than necessary because I thought there'd be more. So I got through and I got the what's it called? The turny handle to open the door. Opened the turny handle, thought, belter, right, left. Didn't realise there was a secret passage down there, which I did go back later and clear out. Again, pinwheels, tight area, fuck that. Because when you go in the little passage there, down there, the secret passage, the pinwheels come at you in a corridor, and you can't really roll out of the way because there's nowhere to do it.
Uh-huh.
Unless you're at a junction when you see one, because they just barrel out of you. And a couple of times they got me in there, and I was kind of panicking. But yeah, I cleared that area. But that's not important. Went back to the big round tower, went through the door at the bottom, which takes you underneath the bridge, where big old fatty plague dragon was living. So you can move on underneath the bridge rather than going past him because he was blocking it. Took out the wretches, which I thought the wretches were really well placed on that bridge.
Uh-huh. Yeah, the way that they hide.
Yeah, like even the first one, you go and you stab him with he's shooting with arrows. So you move up and you're like, ha ha, bitch, stab. And there's one stood behind you.
Yeah.
Just off to the one side. And the second one that's trying to shoot with arrows. And there's four that climb over the bridge behind you.
Yeah, it's
happened
really
a lot
jazzy.
in Painted World. They climb off the edges. You're like, where did you come from?
Yeah, I love that.
Really, really fun way of doing it. And then you meet another big iron giant defender guy.
Yeah, I think it's like a sort of tower knight, isn't it? Or the descendant of.
And he gave me a couple of worries, but I trolleyed him easy enough with me Mancy. And I went through to the boss area and met crossbreed Priscilla.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, and I was she just sort of stands there and says, "No, go away. Be nice, leave us alone. We're not worrying you. Go away. You don't belong here. Jump off that plank." And I was like,
how did you react to that?
I was a bit confused. I was like, what? She's not attacking.
It's not often you get a boss that basically says if you walk away, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I was expecting. I had the same thing I had with Frampt, where I walked forward with my shield up, going, "She's going to attack. She's going to attack. She's going to attack," and nothing happened. And she kept sort of saying, "Please, just take the plank and leave." So I sort of went behind her, and I saw a tail at that point. I was like, "She's got a furry tail," which was interesting. And I thought, okay, well, I'll have a look what's over the plank then. I thought I'll have a look at the plank, as it were. And I went and had a quick look, and I got the yellow Xanthus gear from there, which was pimp as all fuck. I really like it. I don't like the hat, but the rest of it is power rated gold.
That's what that's the top that I've got leveled up in one of my other games because it's actually really light, but when you level it up, it gives a decent amount of damage.
Well, I've looked at that, and I've looked at the stats on it, and it looks like they're going to level up quite nicely. I did a bit of maths.
Yeah, it does.
It looks like if I ever upgrade my Wanderer's gear, that's probably what I'll switch out to.
Yeah, it's a
maybe not the hat because it's ugly, but the rest. Then again, who am I to talk about ugly hats? Because I'm wearing the hat of Faris whenever I can. But yeah, I walked a bit too close to the edge and triggered the jump off.
Okay.
I didn't want to. I was going to explore a bit more. And I was like, oh, he's jumped off and spawned back in Anor Londo. I was like, for fuck's sake.
Did you think that you were dead at that point?
I didn't think I was dead. I thought, I'm going home. She was like, she's been nice. She said, please leave us alone. Go back to your world. I thought, okay, well, that looks like a way out because there was no other visible way out of there.
I'm used to bosses being bosses. You know, that you have to take them on, and it's just kind of a diatribe before the battle starts. And I initially sort of took on Priscilla, and it's quite a battle because she turns invisible.
Yeah, that happened. I went back in.
Oh right, okay.
I spawned back in, and I was like, fuck, I wasn't done. So I turned right back around and went straight, and then went through the whole level again. Luckily, it was their open doorway, so I got through the whole level again. I thought, right, I'm having her. And yeah, you make your first stab. I was like, brilliant, yeah, having her. And she vanishes. And it's not even like a magical shimmery kind of vanish. It's literally, she vanishes completely, invisible.
Do you notice the cues?
Yes, I did.
Aren't they cool? Aren't they
So
cool?
cool. Because I thought she's around here somewhere. Fuck, 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 fuck. Because her health bar vanishes as well, which is quite a nice touch.
Yeah.
I thought, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Crack, 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 crack. And I was running away, and I thought, I'm leaving footprints. Ooh! And I looked at the floor, and I saw these, and they're not even feet. They're kind of cat prints almost. They're not human footprints, which I thought was interesting.
She's a human dragon.
Yeah, which I thought that was really cool. But yeah, I saw these tiny cat feet walking around, and I saw them stop and kind of, like she was stood in an area turning around. I thought, right, I'm having that. I ran at the collection of footprints, swung my fury sword at her, and I saw kind of the fire definitely caught her.
Yeah.
The fire kind of went in the air where she was. I thought, right, I've got the bitch now. And I literally just kept right up her ass.
Wow.
Followed the feet, and I just stayed with her, just battering her until she came back into the real world. And after that, I thought it was a really easy fight. I just, backed off when necessary and stabbed her in the arse. I didn't get a sword. I tried to go for the tail, but she was being cagey.
The interesting thing that I noticed that from someone that did that fight was that they got a weapon with poison, and they poisoned her. And you know how you think that in Anor Londo, it's the first time you noticed that there was a vapor given off by creatures that were poisoned.
Yeah.
That sort of vapor was given off. So it was like, oh, that's really cool.
How you find out, yeah. But yeah, I smacked her out. I didn't get a blade, which I was quite annoyed about, but what you can do. And then I kind of killed her. I thought, and it just kind of stopped. And there wasn't any kind of big moment. I got her soul, and that was it. I was like, did I have to kill her? Could I have left her alone? And
it's wonderfully bittersweet, isn't it?
It was the kind of the feeling of it was quicker than with Onion Bro. I was like, I killed. All I got was this pansy soul. I could have got everything I needed from this area and left without killing her. Now I feel a bit bad. And that's where I left. I jumped off the ledge again and I left it for a night. And that's where I started thinking about her. And this goes back a bit again to what we've seen of the Dark Souls 2 gameplay reveal. Where you see what looks like Anor Londo in the past. Not Anor, sorry, the painted world, the place it was obviously painted of.
Yeah.
With the big bridge in the place. And you also see in that same gameplay trailer the Museum of Dragons. Where dragons were experimented on, as they say.
Yeah.
And I've got a theory that the Museum of Dragons might be that bit.
Well,
because there's dragons everywhere there. And you meet her, who's obviously something's not right there.
Well, one of the places you've got to go is the Duke's Archives, and that's where Seath the Scaleless essentially started experimenting on himself and on his own race and destroyed the dragons.
Yeah.
And the Castle of Dragons and Museum of the Dragons looks a lot like the Painted World. You've got a dragon crossbreed in Priscilla.
Yeah.
That's at the end that's saying, because I think her dialogue's something like, we built this place to escape you. Why can't you leave us alone?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, like go away. You're not, we're happy here.
Which is what gives me basically gives me butterflies about Dark Souls 2, because it's clearly a prequel. And
you're going to find out some of the things that we speculated on.
But I don't know. It just really thrills me to the fact that it's almost like we're going to be delving deeper into the lore by playing it. Which is insane.
It's going to be a bow. And what I did afterwards, actually, before I quit, is I decided, right, I killed Onion Bro and I felt bad. I killed Priscilla and I felt bad. I thought, well, I've killed an NPC. I think that's a sin, right? And I Googled it. It turned out killing Priscilla is also a sin.
Yeah.
Fuck. So I thought I'll go back to the parish and I'll run up the stairs and I'll go across the roof and I'll absolve my sin. Get rid of it. 31,000 souls. I didn't have that much. I had to go and trolley for a bit before I could afford. I had to go and spend all of those big souls you find, the proud soul of a hero. I had to spend all of my souls to be able to afford it. Because I thought, I'm not playing games with this. I'm going to get invaded and battered if I'm not careful. So I played it safe, and I just spent all my souls on getting absolved because I couldn't take it. I was like, nope, I ain't risking it.
Mm-hmm. So did you do that to stop yourself getting invaded by blue phantoms?
I just did it because I felt like it was a thing you should probably do.
Now you see this.
I didn't know the specifics. I just got worried by
it. It makes me smile that the game's gotten under your skin, and you're noticing sort of bits of lore, and there's certain quirks that are getting to you early. And I don't know if that's sort of part way because of the threads that we've had, or the discussions that you and I have had on the podcast as well.
I think the hints are helping. I think I wouldn't have noticed as much stuff had we not been discussing it beforehand. I probably would notice it the second time, but probably not the first time.
Is it sort of increasing your enjoyment of the game? Because it makes me smile that you're disappearing to wiki afterwards and reading up on characters and
beat level, go to wiki.
Yeah, not
the other way around. No, beat the level first, then go to the wiki and go, oh, I see. And it's kind of confirming or not or confirming or denying ideas I've had as I've gone through as well, which has been and it's been, I think, because we've been talking about it and all the threads that we've seen as well, and little hints that you get from other things. It's quite fun watching it all pieced together as you play through it. And I think because I'm getting it for the first time, it's kind of fun seeing it unfold, not just from a gameplay perspective, but from the narrative and the mystery, and it's kind of unraveling as I'm playing it, which is kind of enhancing it a bit.
The narrative I genuinely find fascinating, and I wonder how you do this sort of thing, because I've seen it leveled in some quarters that this sort of thing's easy to write because you just need to string together a backstory and drop a
hero in the middle.
We'll drop a few bits of dialogue with NPCs and stuff, but it's a deeper burn than that. It just is.
It's not just odd lines; it's the meaning in the lines.
Well, even if you go to your inventory and you read all the item descriptions of all the rings and all the armors in your inventory, I guarantee you'll probably still be really moved afterwards. Because
some of them are weird. Yeah, I've looked at that and I've thought, really?
There's some really interesting stuff that's there, and it's very specific to regions and armors and things like that. So
a lot of the lore is sort of hidden in the items in a way.
Yeah, it's not strangling you with what's there. It wants you to look for it, but if you do look for it, there's quite a bit there for you to get into.
And of which I have got quite a bit out of it from looking at the odd bits of descriptions and odd words and picking, again, like you say, putting two and two together and going, oh, so they're from there.
Well, I've just sort of jumped into my inventory and sort of gone a few down, and for Astora's straight sword, it's the straight sword of an unknown knight, likely one of Astora's superiors. Now, you find the Astora's straight sword near one of the undead dragons, near the Valley of the Drakes. So is that another one of Astora's people that had come looking for something that had died within these lands? Was it someone that was looking for Solaire? Was it someone that, because obviously you've got Andre of Astora, who's the blacksmith, but near the Moonlight Butterfly there's someone that's another blacksmith that looks like Andre, perhaps a brother of his, that's been turned to stone. And we know from Demon Souls that there's two blacksmith brothers in Demon Souls. So that's.
I found another one.
There's
another one in the Painted World.
Yeah.
Dark Ember. It's another one of those blacksmith Santa. Because I thought, what's Santa doing here? And I wondered why he didn't talk to me.
Yeah.
And then I realised he was stoned. So there's at least 3. The Santa Bros somewhere around. You think, how did he get in here?
Yeah, if all of those are from Astora, then what inspired them to take the journey to Lordran, and why are they? You know what I mean? It's just little things like that. And there's a few of them in the new content that just turn me upside down.
Yeah, I can't wait to get cracking. So, okay, because we're now nearing, but we're not going to go to 2 hours because, frankly, my voice is going and it's very late. Having now cleared out, well, most of Anor Londo and the Painted World, where do we go from here?
Well,
what do you reckon? I've got a fancy for having a look at the Tomb of the Giants.
I'd say, because I'm eager to show it to you, if you go on that top level at Anor Londo, you know there's a series of stairs that leads upwards. Past the left hand side of the giant knights.
Oh yeah.
And leading upwards that was blocked. That's now not. Now you've got the Lord Vessel that's unblocked. A little way into that, you'll fight an enemy that will give you the I think some sort of pendant. And if you then take that down to near where you defeated the Hydra, you'll go 1,000 years back in time.
Oh,
and it's magnificent. Honest to God, it's just magnificent.
Okay, well that's you've sold it to me.
Yeah.
So next time where we're going, we don't need roads.
I can't honestly. I can spend so much time in Ulasil, and I mean you've got a number of areas that are strung together there. You've got Royal Wood, you've got Ulasil, and Ulasil Township, and then you've got the I think it's called something like the Chaos of the Abyss, which is just terrifying.
I'm gonna die, aren't I?
It's there's a huge amount of answers to your questions in the new content.
Awesome.
It's also you know how we were saying about it's fun to bro up and sort of chip in and help people out.
Yeah.
It's got the best boss battles in the game for that.
Oh, goody.
Calamite is an amazing dragon with a huge moveset. Because you know how the Gaping Dragon really didn't have that many moves.
He waddles, he jumps, and he slams his face.
Calamite has a lot more than that.
Oh,
and even with two people, it's a difficult fight.
Yeah.
And Artorias never, ever, ever gets old. Ever. It's magnificent. You'll love it.
Well, my soul level 62 dude is worried for his life, but he will have a go.
Let me see. Well, I'm 58 on this guy, but I've got a 70 odd also on PlayStation that's currently in Ulasil. So you can either level up a touch or we'll have a go at bro upping from there, but Aaron will be able to do it.
Chat. That sounds like a plan.
Excited.
Yeah. Well, that was Anor Londo and the Painted World. I've had fun.
Yeah, it's been awesome.
They're two interesting big levels because we're at 1 hour 45 minutes now, and we've never done that.
Yeah, I was wondering if we'd have sort of that much to talk about, but a lot of what we'd done the other night in Anor Londo came back as we chatted.
Quite a lot of things happened that we forgot about just because Sigmeyer, Onion Bro, because it was so bad.
But we veered into a lot of other things with regards to
lore.
The lore, and it's like I say, it's fun to see you picking up on little degrees of nuance, and that they are whispering to you.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to before we go, I'd just like to say again, I'm really sorry, Onion Bro. I didn't mean to kill you. And I'm interested to see what happens now with his Missy, with his daughter. I'd
be curious to
because this is something that doesn't really happen. So I'll let you know what happens. And I'm really sorry. If you're in Anor Londo, don't kill him. You'll feel really bad. If you're fighting any Silver Knights, don't be anywhere near him when you kill them.
Have a heart.
Yeah, I tried. He was trying to cut mine out. My name was Paddy.
I'm CJ.
Thank you for listening. Any questions, any comments, drop them in either the Polygon forum chat, polygon.com/forums. Throw us a comment on the YouTube if you're listening. I know Six Tricks the Nine, we've been chatting to you again. Always a pleasure. If you want to throw us some questions on the Twitter, we can always answer questions on Twitter or talk about them in here. I'm at Paddy Stardust. He's at Coffee Jesus with a Z. It's Jezus. Come find us. Come give us a chat. And we will see you next time.
Take care, people.
Ciao.
Bye.